And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so delighted and honored to host the incredible USA Today best-selling, Emmy award-winning mystery extraordinaire, Hank Phillippi Ryan, here to give us the scoop about her brand new, red-hot new book, Her Perfect Life. Hank, welcome back. Tell us about this book.
Oh, Sarah, it's so nice to see you. I remember when we first met at Crime Bake, and it was one of those moments, and you all have had these moments where you just meet someone and you think, we were really meant to be pals. And from that moment on, we have, we talk all the time and we share information and we talk about books and we talk about writing. And it's just such a joy to see you. I mean, look at you with your own show and all these people are watching and I'm seeing the comments pouring in and it's really great. So, and I love seeing you. I'm going to, when this is over, I'm going to go to Murder by the Book and snap some screenshots of you holding up my book. That's just the best thing ever. And you guys, you're like, oh, there you go. I like it.
Yay!
So thank you. This is what you have an early version. I
I
think you
love
were
it.
one of the first people to have it.
Yeah,
Here's what the final version looks like. Look how great that is. I'm so happy about
gorgeous.
it. Even the back is pretty and shiny. Um,
Yes.
so Her Perfect Life, it's so hard, and you know this well in all the shows that you've done, to talk about a suspense thriller, a psychological thriller, without
Mm.
really giving it away. But again, I want you all to know what this is about. So Her Perfect Life, in 5 words, like they ask
Ooh.
you to do on Twitter, is sisters, betrayal, guilt, fame, and revenge.
Oh,
All those kind of roiling emotions, right? Connected with sisters and how we all deal with sisters, whether we have them, whether
mm.
we love them, whether we don't quite love them, whether we see how other people deal with theirs, or whether we're a mom of sisters.
Mm.
That's all of those things, and revenge and guilt and betrayal and how much those emotions can change our lives. So then there was another thing very quickly on Facebook that said, tell about your book in 5 phrases. So in five
Ooh.
phrases, Her Perfect Life, it stars a beloved reporter with a dark secret, a
Ooh.
missing college student, and that is not the secret, an anonymous source, a clandestine, passionate weekend in Aspen, and a
Ooh.
child's little pink suitcase that is surprisingly empty. So Her Perfect Life stars Lily Atwood, a beloved TV reporter, so beloved and so perfect that her fans have given her a hashtag Perfect Lily. Everybody knows Lily Atwood, and that may be her biggest problem because Lily has fame, she has fortune, she has Emmys, she's the single mom to an adorable 7-year-old daughter, but she also has a dark, dark secret that she is worried someone will tell. So she begins to think about how can she keep this secret when she's always in the spotlight, and
Mm.
maybe the spotlight is the most dangerous place of all. So, 2 smart women facing off in a high stakes psychological cat and mouse game to prove their truth about a devastating betrayal. But
Ooh.
which woman is the cat and which woman is the mouse? And that is Her Perfect Life. Which, breaking news, Sara DiVello, it just today went into a second printing. So,
Yay, Hank. Oh my God, congratulations. Oh, this is so exciting. Well, I can't wait to get into every single delicious tidbit because you hooked us good, Hank Phillippi
oh,
Ryan,
good. Oh,
Queen
good.
Hank, queen of the suspense genre. But first, I just want to welcome everyone who's watching with us tonight, watching on Facebook, watching on YouTube, watching on my channels, watching on the bookstores channels. If you've been here before, you know the drill. Welcome back. We're so happy to have you. And if you're new, here's the drill every Monday for hashtag Mystery Monday, because you know Mondays can be murder. I give you my hand-picked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So here is your chance to ask 37-time Emmy Award winning author, Hank Phillippi Ryan, winner of, my goodness, so many awards. I'm going to go into every single one of them. But
Right.
ask Hank anything. So go ahead and get your questions going in the comments, and I'm going to get to every single one of them because this is your time to talk to Hank. Anissa is saying, hello, Sarah and Hank. Anissa, so great to have you. Welcome. She says she's so excited to be here. Erin, welcome. She says, hi, Hank and Sarah. And Erin, I am digging that banned book week banner you've got going on there. Mary is saying, hello, ladies. I'm Mary Barker from Teresita, Florida. Can't wait to start reading. Mary, you're in the right place at the right time. Yeah. Welcome. Anissa is saying, hello. Katja is saying, so glad to join everyone tonight. Tracy Clark is in the house. Tracy, we just had you on a couple weeks ago. Amazing, incredible author. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. She's saying congratulations.
Thank you. So Tracy Clark is so wonderful. One of my favorite authors. Her book Runner is the newest one that's out now, part of her Cass Rains series, and set in Chicago. Absolutely fabulous. So I'm not surprised that you talked to her, Sarah. She is great.
Isn't she the best? Yay! So Hank Phillippi Ryan, not only are you going into a second printing, breaking news, thank you for giving us the scoop, but this book is racking up incredible praise. Tracy is saying, oh, thank you so much, Hank. Yay! And Hank, you are known for being so incredibly generous to other authors and to all of us writers. So thank you for leading us with grace and generosity as always. So you are racking up the praise with this book. Publishers Weekly Pick of the Week. And it just goes on and on from there. Book Trib's most anticipated book, Crime Read's most anticipated book, Goodreads biggest mysteries and thrillers of the year. I could go on, and I will.
Yes, do. Go ahead. That would be lovely.
Okay, I will. And Anissa is joining me and saying, Hank is amazing. I totally agree. Hank, I love all of your books, as you know, but I'm going to say it, woman. I think this is your best book yet. I mean, you are just keep elevating your craft. So as the author of 13 novels of suspense, how do you do it? How do you keep elevating and keep getting better and better and better? How do you do that?
Oh, thank you. I could just listen to you say these nice things because forever. And I'll tell you, as a writer, and all of you who are readers and writers have had this experience. You know, when you're an author, it gets more, to me at least, it gets more and more difficult because I always want to be better. I always want to raise my game. I always want to be challenged by myself. I always want to have readers say, oh, I love this one best of all. So it's difficult because every story has to be gorgeously new, gorgeously unique, gorgeously compelling. And I wonder if that comes from all my years as a reporter. I've been a television reporter for 43 years now and still on TV, on the air in Boston. And every day when I'm out searching for a story as a reporter, I start with a question, a hypothesis, a theory, something that I wonder about, and I go out and find what that story might be. And it's exactly the same in writing a thriller, a psychological thriller, the way I do. I start out with an idea, and I go out in search of the story. And every day in my television career for the past, 40 some years, no matter what story I do, I try to make it the very best, the most jewel-like gem of perfection that I can possibly be. Even when I was a general assignment reporter, just doing, fires and politics and the city council meeting and the school board and all those kinds of things, I would try to make them the very best story about the quilt show that anyone has ever seen, because it was just that personal challenge for quality, to see if I can add a little something extra, to see if I can make it better, to see if I can make it special. And I try to do that when I'm writing as well. The idea of not having to finish my story by 6 o'clock at night, like I did for years and years, but a way of letting the story really come to life in its special, seamless, never seen before kind of
Mm.
way. So as an author, I keep raising the bar on myself. Right? Can I make this better? Can I make it stronger? Can I make it more fascinating, more surprising, more riveting? I want you to miss your stop on the subway because you're reading my books. And that's what I think about. I think about writing a book that people will not be able to put down.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. And I am sure that you are making many people miss their stops on the subway. So if you are late for work, just tell your boss, I was late because of Hank Phillippi Ryan, and they will understand because they've probably read her books too. I
Yeah,
love this.
don't try that. Just don't. I mean, it sounds lovely, and when Sarah says it, it sounds so possible. But in real life, I wouldn't try that.
If you
But
do, let
nevertheless,
us know how it
you
goes.
tell me about it though, because I'd be happy to hear about it.
Anissa would like to know which book of yours was the toughest to write and why. I loved Her Perfect Life. It was so riveting. Anissa, I totally agree. It was riveting. Hank, what is it your favorite?
Thank
You
you.
got to pick a favorite.
Well, I can pick it. I mean, Anissa, who always has the greatest questions. Which is the book was toughest? They get more and more difficult as time goes by because each book, and I can tell you this, each book that I write is the best it can possibly be for the time that I wrote it. So,
Mm.
13 years ago or whenever, when I wrote Primetime, my first book, which won the Agatha that's one of those teapots that's behind me, is the Agatha Award. Um, every book I write is the best it can be for the time. But every book I write, I learn something from it. I learn something about myself. I learn something about mystery. I learn something about suspense. I learn something about character, uh, or craft even. And so I take what I've learned from the writing book one and I put that into book two. And then I
Mm.
say, oh, this worked this time. Now I can see if I can make that better in book three. So
Mm.
they're all difficult to write because I've turned the meter up to 11 for every book. And then I put in a new meter for the next book and 11 is even higher. I'm in the midst of writing a new book right now and I'm doing exactly the same thing. I feel myself doing that. How could I make this cooler and smarter and more surprising? So that's part of the fun, Anissa, of it. Actually, if it's not difficult, I tell myself that I'm not working hard enough. Does that make any sense?
That makes sense. I think I'm just, as a writer, I'm so amazed that you can keep elevating because I mean, I'm sure everyone here knows, but in case you somehow don't, Hank Phillippi Ryan is the USA Today best-selling author of 13, y'all, novels of suspense. That means she has kept elevating 13 times. She has also won multiple prestigious awards for her crime fiction, including five Agathas, four Anthonys, and the coveted Mary Higgins Clark Award. That's in addition to the 37 Emmys and the 14 Edward R. Murrows for her investigative journalism. So to keep elevating to achieve that award-winning level and then to elevate again, I mean, just kind of blows my mind. It's just
Well, you
absolutely.
just blew my mind as well because I never really thought about it that way as doing it 13 times. It feels much more incremental than that, but that's
Ooh.
kind of a rewarding thought, isn't it? One of the things I try to do is in my work is I sort of allow myself to succeed instead of setting myself up to fail by not writing my words for the day or not having a
Ooh.
good idea or not being enthusiastic about my work. I try to love it. I try to love it every day. Even when I write a really bad sentence, I think, well, that was the worst sentence I've ever seen. And then I think, yep, just go ahead and write another bad sentence because you can always fix it. You can fix it later. And that's one of the big differences of writing
Ooh.
crime fiction and writing for television is that you write in television, it's fast paced, it's done, it's on the air, it's written, edited, and put on the air, and it's over. Sometimes in minutes, literally in minutes. But in a
Mm.
book, with a book, I have essentially a year, which is either very short or very long, depending on where you are in the process. And so that allows me to say, okay, I didn't have a very good writing day today. So that's fine. That'll happen. And tomorrow I'll fix it. So I try to go into this work with joy and enthusiasm. And then when I do succeed, even in the smallest little bit, I can say to myself, you did a good job. Let's do that again tomorrow. I'm so needy. It's as if I'm giving myself gold stars every day. But, it works when you're a 5-year-old and it works when you're this age as well. So I try to
Mm.
embrace, even when it's difficult, I try to embrace it.
Oh, I love that. I love that, Hank. Thank you so much. And I love your commitment to joy and positivity. Positivity.
I'm
I
looking, when I
mean,
look down, I'm looking at all your comments on my phone, and it's really fun to see them all come in. Thank you. This is so nice.
yay. Sharon is saying, "Hey, Sharon, great to have you." She said, "Hank, your books never disappoint," and I wholeheartedly agree. And Nisa is saying, "Great answer. I totally agree." Marjat is saying, "I loved Her Perfect Life. Has any of the reviews you have received surprised you?" Ooh, great question, Hank. Have you been surprised by any of the reviews?
Well, hi Margit, and I love that you're in Finland, right? Because you were talking about being in Finland, which is so great. So what time is it there? It must be 1 in the morning or so. That's so
She's
crazy.
staying up late to see you, Hank.
Oh, thank you. Um, one of the when you get a trade review from Publishers Weekly or from Kirkus, some place like that, those are really career changing, pivotal reviews. And we're
Mm.
all very apprehensive about those. So when you get a review from one of those publications, you get it from your publicist, and it comes in an email, of course. And sometimes the email says your review, and just like that. And then you think, oh, but sometimes it says your review exclamation mark, and that means, oh, this is good. Open this right now. So when I got my starred review from Kirkus for Her Perfect Life, the email subject line said, "Your said, are you sitting down? 3 exclamation marks. Your Kirkus review, 3 exclamation marks." So and to get us that was crazy. So it was really fun, Marjorie, to even just to see the subject line before I'd even read the review, and then to see the
Mm.
start review from Kirkus, which picked up on the smart women, the strong, smart women main characters. And that was a joy to see as well, because someone really understood, the juggle that women have of being a mother, of being a daughter, of being a sister, all of being a single mom. All of those
Mm.
things go into this book, and that they're not victims. They take control of their lives and they go after what they want, for better or for worse, right? For better or for worse. But my books are full of confident women who take control of the situation, even when they might not be lovely women. Not all of them are, but they are confident and strong.
I love that, Hank. That's one of the many, many things I love about your books. And I popped it up on the screen for everyone else to see the full clip of that. It is Kirkus raved. It is a well-crafted plot, and strong female characters drive a satisfyingly psychological thriller. And I just want to remind everyone that the New York Times once called Kirkus reliably cantankerous and curmudgeonly. That means Kirkus's praise don't come cheap. So when
Oh.
they say this is a well-crafted plot, with strong female characters driving a satisfyingly psychological thriller, they mean it.
And
Um,
that's interesting too, Sarah, that you brought up that a gorgeous thing. I'm going to make a frame, put this make a poster of this. The satisfying part is so gorgeous as well, because how often we've read books and we read them and, oh, we're turning the pages as fast as we can, and at the end you think, the what? This is the ending? Are you even kidding me? And so, nailing the ending, making the ending being satisfying, that's such a good word, that it's surprising but inevitable. That's what every author tries to do, because you can spin a good tale, you can tell a good story, but if you don't nail the ending, you've lost the audience. And that's one of the things that's really that I work for very carefully, is to make sure that the ending makes sense, to make sure that the ending is not bizarre, to make sure that the
mm,
ending makes you feel, oh, that feeling that we have when we close a book and we think, oh, that was a good book. That was a good book. And that's what I just devoutly wish for.
Yay. I love that. I love that. Margit's saying it's only 2 a.m. that she stayed up for to see you in Iceland. Oh my God, there are so many great questions, and I can't wait to get to all of them. And okay, where shall I? Oh my goodness, they're pouring in. This is fantastic.
I
And I'm
love
going to
this.
get
This is so much fun to see.
yay. And we're going to get to every single one of them. Okay. Judy
And if we
said,
don't get to everyone, because I know you have a crazy day, Sara, because you have wonderful guests coming up. I'll answer them in the chat. I'll answer them in the chat in the comments afterward. So if we don't get to them live, I'll get to them by typing. So don't worry about that.
sure. And I
I'm
noticed
very
that you do
grateful.
that, Hank. You always take your time after the interview to go back and reply to every single person who takes the time to make a comment. And I love that about you because it shows such a care and a respect and a kindness toward every single person who's taken the time to show up here. And that's just such a lovely thing to do. So Judy wants to know which book would make a good movie, aside from all of them.
I love, one of the things about, thank you, Judy. This is such a good question. Are you a movie producer? Because I could just send this to you right away. Happy to. One of the things that I've learned about because of being a television reporter is how important video is. In television, if you don't have good video, your story isn't going to be as good as it might be. And if you do have good video, we have a saying, always lead with the best pictures. Lead with the best pictures. And so I've learned in writing my novels to make them be as cinematic as I possibly can. When readers say, "Ooh, I could just see that," I think, thank you. That is really what I'm going for, to really take the readers into the world of the book and let them envision that world. And that's why I think the books do translate to film, because they're created as film. They're created as film. Now, let me be clear about that. I write the books to be read as books. Even though I'm trying to make them as cinematic as possible, I still write them for readers. They're not like screenplays. They're not like scripts. I want you to lose yourself in the book. I want you to imagine what the characters look like and how they feel and where they are. I want you to be them in the way that you want to be them. And so Sue Grafton used to talk about how she didn't want her books. She would not allow her books to be made into movies because she knew that her readers had a picture of Kinsey Malone in their head, and that that 99.9% of them would be unhappy when Hollywood chose someone to be Kinsey. And so she just said, leave this alone. Let this be a book. So I'm writing to give my readers a movie in their mind. I want you to see the movie in your mind of Her Perfect Life. And that is just fine with me. That is just fine with me. So yes, Judy, which book would make a good movie? I will tell you for sure, Her Perfect Life. And actually my book, The Wrong Girl, I think I've always thought would be a terrific movie. But that's out in the universe. It's all out in the universe. And we'll just see what happens. But right now I'm really happy for you all to read it.
Yay. I think I can and you know what, Hank, I always see your books in my mind. I'm a very visual person, and I can see this one and I can see all of them. So I'm excited. Okay, so here's a not positive comment. That's okay. Robert saying, I like Hank, but Sara is over the top. I couldn't watch such poor acting. Sad. First of all, Robert, thank you for taking the time to comment. Second of all, I am a passionate Italian woman and I am not acting. I'm just this happy and excited, and it's okay if it doesn't work for you. We all have to get out there and find the right interviewers for us, and I wish you well in your journey. But I want to assure everyone here that I am just this excited. I love mysteries. I love writing. I love Hank. And I'm so happy to be here and nerding out about my favorite topics with you all. All right. I want to get to some of these other amazing comments. Mary wants to know, when you were younger, did you enjoy mysteries and crime books or TV shows?
Mary, I'd love to hear what you all loved, because I really bet that we loved some of the same things. I grew up in really rural Indiana. so rural that you couldn't see another house from our house. And my sister and I used to ride our ponies to the library to get books, and we'd fill up the saddlebags with books, and we'd read up in the hayloft of the barn behind our house. I was such a nerdy, bookish, unpopular little girl. You can't even imagine it. I'm still very shy, actually, and I was even shyer when I was younger. So all I did growing up was read books, mostly mysteries, and watch old movies, mostly mysteries. And hasn't that turned out nicely? You know, it really turned out nicely. So of course I read Nancy Drew, as so many of us did. But it was really Sherlock Holmes that got me. You know, when I started really reading the Sherlock Holmes short stories and novellas, I was really hooked on mystery, on clues, on suspense, on really the architecture of a mystery, how someone could set up that design of beginning, middle, and end, and then really surprise you. And then I read Murder on the Orient Express, Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express. And Mary, that just, I gasped. I think I was 12 when I read it, and I just could not believe that ending of that book, and that has stayed with me ever since. And also, do you know the Edward Eager mysteries? Have you read Half Magic and Magic or Not, and The Time Garden and Knight's Castle? They are sort of middle grade chapter books, which I still love. They're about smart kids who find magic and have to figure out and understand the magic and then solve the puzzle. And when all you have in your life is that you're smart, you know, an outcast like I was, no friends. I was voted in middle school most individual. You know, when you're 14, you don't want that. You don't want most individual. But I did have books, and I did have those stories, and I did have that world that I could escape to. So yeah, I loved those crime books and mystery books. TV shows. What do I remember? Heart to Heart, and Perry Mason. I loved Perry Mason. My father, my stepfather, was a lawyer, and we used to all get together and sit in the living room and watch Perry Mason. We were glued, and my sister and I were not allowed to talk during Perry Mason. We were not allowed to say, what does irrelevant mean, until the commercial. So we were very disciplined. But that idea of justice, of trials, of a legal thriller, of a mystery, of clues, of character, all in that, right? Think about how much we learned from that, not only about structure and about clues, but about storytelling, how to tell a good story. And I tell you, I learned from that. I absolutely did.
Oh, I love that. Thanks for the great question, Mary. Erin would like to know, good question, Erin. Who is your favorite character that you've written, and who's your least favorite?
Oh, golly, Erin, hi. I don't have a least favorite character. I wouldn't leave someone in if I didn't love them or love to not love them. You know, I think I try to make all my characters be interesting, even if is there someone I would have changed? No. Is there someone I would have taken out? No, because in the edit process, I just would have taken them out if it didn't work. My favorite characters, oh my golly, I have so many favorite characters. In the Jane Ryland books, there's this wonderful, handsome lawyer, kind of sort of Atticus Finchy lawyer named Peter Hardesty, who I still get fan mail for. You know, when are you going to bring back Peter? In Her Perfect Life, the little, you know, not only Lily, who I love, and Cassie, who I love, but the little girl Rowan, who's 7. Her voice just came out so naturally and beautifully, and she's so funny and so mischievous. And so, you know, she's really pushes Lily, and Lily really pushes her back. So I love the relationship that Lily has with her daughter Rowan. She's a single mom, and she has to handle that role of being a famous television star, but also protecting her little daughter. And that's really what this book is about, the danger of the spotlight. You know, Lily chose to be famous with all the scary things that I know all too well come with that celebrity. But Rowan didn't choose the spotlight. And so Lily has to decide how to balance her career, which is her job, which is her profession, which gives them food and shelter, with her fear of what that fame might do to her little daughter and to her entire life. So that's the juggle of her perfect life. You can't have a perfect life, right? You can't have it. Although Lily, who's been dubbed, as I said to you, she's been dubbed hashtag perfect Lily by her fans, needs to keep that up on the outside when she is really terrified on the inside. And that's the juggle of her perfect life.
Ooh, and you do it so well, Hank. Alan Nunnally would like to know, he said, you've had such a noteworthy career as a journalist. What gave you the bug to embark on this incredibly successful mystery and thriller novel writing additional act? Great question. Hank, give us the skinny.
What a very lovely complimentary question, too. Thank you. You know, just one of the things of being a reporter is that you know when you have a good story idea. You know, one of the things that we say to each other in journalism is sort of, ooh, that's a great story, or what a good story. That's the highest accolade. This is a good story. And you know it. It's this sort of Malcolm Gladwell blink reflex of ding, you know, that's going to work. And everybody knows that, the feeling of a good idea. And in answer to your question, Alan, I had a good idea. I had a good idea for a mystery, and I knew it was. And it's a long story, too long for tonight, but I'll tell you a part of it. But I was at Channel 7, and I got an email, which was a spam, and I opened the spam email, and the subject line of the email was a new refinancing deal for you. But when I opened the email, it was what looked like lines from a play, a Shakespearean play. And I majored in Shakespeare in college, and I knew it wasn't a Shakespearean play, but of that era. And I thought, why would someone send a spam email to millions of people that anybody could open with the subject line, a new refinancing deal for you, and the body, what looked like dialogue from a play? And my brain said to me, maybe it's a secret message. And I thought, oh my golly, secret messages in computer spam. That is a great idea for a mystery. So I went home and I said to my husband, I'm going to write a book. This is 2004, 2005, I guess. I have a great idea for a mystery. I'm going to write a novel. This is going to be wonderful. And Jonathan says, great, honey. He says, do you know how to write a book? I remember it so well. I said, how hard can it be? You know, I've read a million of these. And I soon learned how hard it can be. But Alan, that's where it came from. I just had a good idea, and I knew it was a good idea, and I knew it was a fictional idea. So it wasn't a news story. It was just, after all these years of reading and reading and reading and reading and reading, and after all these years of writing stories every day for television, right, since 1976, I figured I know how to write a story. I know how to do suspense. I know how to do entertainment. I know how to do this. I can just do it. Well, that was wrong. It was really hard, and it took me a long time. It took me maybe a year and a half. But I had written millions of words before that, right? And just not in that form. So I'm so lucky to have been a reporter, that noteworthy career, which I'm so grateful for that description of it, taught me how to tell a story. And that's why when I had this idea, which I knew, sort of bingo was a good idea, I knew I could do it. And that turned out to be Crime Time. My first novel, which won the Agatha for Best First Novel. And that was the beginning of my crime fiction career. Just this random, crazy opening of a spam that, in some other universe wouldn't have happened. Or in some other universe would have happened a different day when I didn't have time to think about it. So that is what fills me also with sort of the magicness of all this, of how things happen and why things happen and why things happen when they happen. And that's another reason that I really embrace this whole thing, because, I did a TEDx talk about it. You should look at it, called Why I Read the End of Books First. Don't do that. Do not read the end of books first. Don't do it. But I do it because I learned something from it as a writer. But in that, I talk about the surprises that happen to us every day if we're open to them. You'll never know who you're going to meet on your show, Sarah, right? Or what they're going to say, or who's going to arrive. And it's all really kind of great. even in the midst of this horrific time that we're in now, these kinds of discussions, that Alan can ask me a question, that you and I can talk, that we can all be here. Look at all these people. Oh my goodness. And I'm about to sneeze. We can do this. And it's
Yes.
quite amazing.
I love that. Mary would like to know, what are your thoughts on crime podcasts and why are they so popular? Mary, cool question. Hank, what do you
I'd love to know what you think, Mary. I love them. I think they're absolutely riveting. You think about how Dateline and 60 Minutes and CBS Reports and all those shows that really sort of were the groundbreakers for these kinds of true crime podcasts. And I admire the intensive research that goes into them. Kathleen Barber's book, Are You Sleeping? That was turned into Truth Be Told. Wonderful sort of osmosis and an amalgam of a true crime podcast with a novel. And the seminal, Serial. Was there anything better than Serial? It was awesomely good and incredibly well thought out and brilliantly, carefully written and produced. And they are so, I think that, Mary, my thoughts about true crime podcasts is that just like television journalism, we show you something that it might have happened to you. It's real life. It might have happened to you. And what would you do? And how would you think? And who would you have talked to about it? And would you have done the same thing? And would you have told the police? Or would you try to solve it yourself? Or, who in your past or in your life might be on one side of the law or the other and be surprised to you. So they're so relatable and they're so engaging. And who doesn't love a good story and a real life story and, a satisfying, compelling, riveting real life story, I think is something that, we're all engaged in, fiction or nonfiction. And I think the narrative nonfiction of these true crime podcasts, it's like In Cold Blood, the pivotal Truman Capote book. That was one of the first true crime narrative nonfiction novels. Blood and Money by Tommy Thompson, which is years and years ago. Also fantastic. And I think we're just drawn to that reality and comparing their lives with our own, knowing it could have been us. I wonder what you all think about that.
Ooh, I love that. Knowing it could have been us. Yeah, I think it is that. And it's our need for closure. We like
Mhm.
to think that things are going to be fair. We want them to be fair. We want to know what happens.
And in real life and in fiction, that doesn't always happen. And I think that's one of the realistic things. I like to make my books be realistic and authentic. And I've had people email me saying that they cried at the end of Her Perfect Life. They cried, and which makes me so happy. I know that sounds crazy, but there's an emotional connection with the characters. And in real life and in fiction, everything isn't tied up with a gorgeous bow and everybody walks off into the happy sunset together. It's real life with real people with real problems and real dilemmas. And facing that, I think that happens sometimes. That happens in true crime and it happens in fiction. You want to tell a story that's real. And you want to have, I want to have readers at the end of the book say, oh, yeah, that's what had to happen. That's what had to happen.
Oh, I like that. Sharon would like to know, how long does it usually take you to write a book? Because, hey, you're fast. Tell us.
Oh, sister, I'm not fast enough. That's all I can tell you. My new book is due October the 6th. So if you all please email me and remind me of that deadline, I need your encouragement because it's going to be tight. I have a contract, Sharon, as you know, I have a contract for a book a year and I love that. And it takes me every second that I have. It might be that my brain budgets my time. So it as the old saying that work expands to fill the time that you're given. That is completely true. If I had longer, it would take longer. If I had shorter, I could probably do it in a shorter amount of time. So it takes the amount of time that I have, which is a year, which knock on wood seems to work for me.
Well, based on your winningness alone, Hank, and your legion of adoring fans, I'd say it's working. It's not just easy work. It actually is working. I love it. Erin is saying that that's how she felt about The First to Lie, that ending. Mary is saying yes, the ending can make or break the whole book. Totally agree, ladies. Thank you so much. Margit said, you have nailed it. Readers will definitely sink into your books. Oh, I like the use of the word sink, because that is, Hank creates a world where ironically we feel very safe, even though scary things are happening, because I think we're in her skillful hands. So we know that, this is going to be time well spent. Polly saying, thank you. I love getting into the book. I want it to be a movie in my head. Books are always better than the movies. Totally
that's so interesting, Polly, because books are always better than the movie. And why? Because the books in our head, the movies in our mind are never wrong. The people look exactly like they're supposed to look. They talk exactly the way they should talk. They go exactly where they should go. They wear exactly what they should wear, because our own brains present us a reality that we are engaged with. And that is why books work for us. And I especially think now, in the pandemic, it's always safe inside a book as well.
Yes.
No matter what's going on outside, to be in a book, you can solve someone else's problems. You can have someone else's dilemmas. You can take yourself out of the craziness that we all live in, and just plop yourself into Lily's world and try to solve her problems and decide what you would do in Lily's situation. So it's always safe inside a book, and we're always envisioning it exactly the way we want it to be.
Oh, yes, exactly. Susan, I love this question. Hank, what great book do you have yet to read? Which one has not made it into your saddlebag yet?
That's so cute. I have a whole stack of books right here, and I'm trying to see the one that's next on the list that I haven't read yet. I'm just going to pull. I don't know what this is. Okay, this is just a book that was sent to me.
Ooh.
And I don't know what this is, and I'm looking for another one. These books were sent to me, and again, I don't know. You tell me. There's the Department of Rare Books and Special Collections. Does anybody know about this, by Eva Jurczyk?
No, that sounds like
it sounds good. Here is one by Janice Hallett called The Appeal. Ooh. And I got an email today that the publisher is sending me the new Elle Cosimano book. Her first, Finlay Donovan is Killing It, is hilarious and wonderful. And her new book is on the way, coming out February the 1st. So I cannot wait. I cannot wait to read that. So isn't it cool, Susan, how many wonderful books there are out there? And that is why all the more reason I hope when you go to your bookshelf, you'll pull out Her Perfect Life, because there's so many wonderful books. Who knows? The Anthony Horowitz book is coming out, and I can't wait to read that. Laurie Raider Day's Death at Greenway is coming out. Oh my God, we'll talk about the good books.
Oh my gosh, so many great books. Mary saying all of your books would make great movies. I love mysteries and crime books, not gory, just very detailed and clever. Mary, I'm in your boat. Move over. I'll help you row. I totally agree. Anissa is sending up her love for Perry Mason. Oh, Hank, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's interesting because the previous comment really touches me, because people say, Mary, thank you. You're fast with the banners. People say to write the kind of book you love to read. And I don't like to read graphic violence. And I don't like to read graphic sex in books. I don't even like inappropriate language in books. Because as a reporter, I'm not allowed to use it. Because if I swore in real life and said words that you can't say on TV, then certainly when I'm live on the air and a light falls on me, or the church bells start chiming, or a siren ruins my live shot, or I trip or something or make a mistake, then that word will come out on live TV. So my reporters don't swear, and my friends laugh at me. I'll say, "Oh, rats," and they say, "Rats. You're saying rats," and that's not because of any other reason except my career. It is for my own personal career safety. So my reporters don't swear either. So no graphic sex, no graphic violence, no inappropriate language, just twisty, turny, gaslighty, mind-bending, manipulative suspense. That's what my books have.
Yes. And Mary, I totally agree. If I read, I have to I'm a sensitive soul in spite of being a mystery lover. And when I read or see graphic things on TV, I can't do it. It stays with me for a very long time. It keeps me awake. I feel icky and upset. I can't do it. So that is another thing. Thank you for honing in on it so perfectly. It's another thing I love about Hank's books and all of them and the mysteries of, but especially Hank, you do that so well. And Nisa would like to know, Hank, what genres do you like to read other than thriller and suspense? Yeah, what else went in that saddlebag? Give us a skinny.
Well, that's interesting. I love historical fiction now. So many wonderful historical fiction books are coming out right now. I also love, again, narrative nonfiction. The book that is, the title of it is, I'm losing it right now, but the book about the Theranos scandal, where the woman, Elizabeth, what is her last name? My brain is not coming
I'm
up with
totally
this,
blanking.
which is so fascinating. There were two wonderful television documentaries about them. One called about the Theranos scandal. One called The Dropout.
Elizabeth Holmes.
Yes, Holmes. Thank you all. Thank you.
I had to
The
Google it.
community mind will give us
Oh,
the answer.
I'm saying Bad Blood.
Ellen. Yes, Bad Blood. Love that book. Did you love it too, Ellen? It was just really fantastic. And Ellen knows. Okay. And there's also a book called The Radium Girls by Kate Miller, about the women who painted the radium dials on watches and clocks, and also aviation equipment during the war, and how those women changed our occupational health and safety laws because of what they went through. Really powerful, absolutely terrific book. So narrative nonfiction and historical fiction. You can tell I'm a reporter, right? You can tell I love books like that tell a real story.
Hank, Mary, and I want to know this too. Mary wants to know, how do you come up with your titles? Give us the story behind the title.
The story behind the title of Her Perfect Life is pretty interesting, as they all are. Her Perfect Life started out, the original title of Her Perfect Life was The Next Caller. And that's because one of the elements of Her Perfect Life is that a reporter who gets calls from an anonymous source, this anonymous source who tells her secrets about other people and leads her to do research, which leads her to get great Emmy-winning stories. So she learns to rely on this anonymous source who has never failed her, who has never steered her wrong on a story. The anonymous source then, in my imaginary book, calls the reporter and starts telling her secrets about her own life, turns the tables on her totally. Every one of those Emmys behind me represents a secret that someone didn't want you to know. Also represents an enemy, because the person who was keeping that secret is not happy that I told the secret. So what if an anonymous source started telling a reporter secrets about herself? The next call that you get may ruin your career. The Next Caller. So I told that to my editor, and she says, great, that is a great title, but not for this book. So I just was writing, book with no title for a while. And then eventually, as I was writing about Lily and Perfect Lily and trying to protect her perfect life, I thought, oh, I'm so silly. Of course, this is called Her Perfect Life. And when you think of the title that works, there is no other title that it could be. I mean, it's just so obviously that. So every title is a process. The Other Woman instantly was what the book was about. I had no idea what the book was exactly, but I had read an article in a magazine that said, about the ex-governor Mark Sanford, the ex-governor of South Carolina, who told his wife and constituents that he was out hiking the Appalachian Trail when he was really off with his paramour. And that article ended with someone saying, "You can choose your sin, but you cannot choose your consequences." And I thought, oh, The Other Woman, that's a good title. So Mary, you never know when the perfect title is going to emerge, but it's always a wonderful process. And wow, do you know it when you hear it? When you get the right one, you know it's the right one, just like Her Perfect Life.
Oh, I love that. Well, what a perfect note to end on. Hank Phillippi Ryan, queen of the genre, thank you so much for joining us, for giving us, and I'm popping all of your amazing blurbs in the comments, for giving us the inside scoop on Her Perfect Life. And I have put the link to grab your copy tonight and support a woman-owned independent bookstore, Murder by the Book, our favorite. You can grab your copy tonight if you don't already have it, because trust me, y'all, you're going to want to read this book. It is so good. Hank, anything you wished I'd asked, anything you want to share, anything you want to leave us with?
Well, two quick things. One is, if Murder by the Book, I'll be happy to send you personalized book plates. So let me know if you'd like that, and we can totally make that happen. I love Murder by the Book, and we'll do anything for Murder by the Book. Also, find me on Facebook, find me on Twitter, find me on Instagram, find me everywhere. Go to my website, hankphillippiryan.com. You can remember that. And sign up for my newsletter, because we have lots of giveaways and prizes and fun things. So I promise not to send you too many, maybe one a month, but I would love to keep in contact with you. And we can go back and forth. Speaking of which, if you click on contact on my website, it comes right to me with no middle person. So I'd love to hear from you all. Sara, thank you. You are astonishing. You are a rock star. You are perfect in every way. And I'm so honored to be here with you all tonight.
Oh, Hank, it has been such an honor, truly a highlight to host you again. My goodness, my pleasure, my honor to get to connect you with our readers, our mystery and thriller fam. Alan is saying thank you. Anissa is saying thank you. Getting so many hearts up on Facebook. Erin is saying thank you. This has been great. Thank you all. Just so many hearts. Thanks for the hearts, everybody. Thank you all for joining us. And I will see you at 8 p.m. with former Naval Intelligence Officer Spencer Cope. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.